Most expensive fighter jet meets the F-35. The F-35A CTOL variant is flown by the Air Forces of the Netherlands, Australia, Japan, and Italy. The three F-35 variants are manufactured in Fort Worth, Texas, Cameri, Italy, Nagoya, Japan, with 300,000 parts from 1,500 suppliers worldwide. The F-35 software has more lines of code than the Space Shuttle. An F-35's pilot wears a helmet that has input necessary for situational awareness projected onto the interior of the visor, airspeed, heading, altitude, targeting information and warnings. It also projects imagery from around the aircraft via infrared cameras onto the visor, allowing the pilot to look through the bottom of the aircraft. The F-35 Lightning II is named after the famous World War II fighter, the twin-engine P-38 Lightning. The U.S. leading air combat pilot of the World War II, Major Richard I. Bong scored all of his 40 victories flying the P-38. The F-35 is the most expensive fighter jet on Earth. But is it worth it? Many F-35 Lightning II pilots interviewed by a think tank expert and former F-16 command pilot believe that they are flying the best fighter in the world. But the F-35 has the distinction of having the most expensive weapon acquisition program in history. It's projected to cost over $1.6 trillion over its life cycle for 2,456 F-35s. The U.S. military signed a contract in 2019 for the delivery of 478 F-35s for the various service branches and for export sales. This deal had a price tag of $77.9 million for the Air Force F-35A, $101.3 million for the Marine Corps short takeoff and landing F-35B, and $94.4 million for the Navy carrier-based F-35C. Stay tuned for more information. Hello guys, and welcome to our channel, Fighter Jets in Action. Please subscribe and like this video, and we love you for it. One airplane into three. This was one of the main ideas behind the stealthy F-35. Have the same airframe serve three different services. Rather than design three separate fighters, a multi-pronged plane was believed to be a way to save money for research and development and procurement costs. The F-35 would conduct multiple missions with ample features. This would streamline the manufacturing process, save on training and maintenance. But the fifth generation F-35 cost $36,000 per hour to fly, which is more expensive than the F-16. Most expensive fighter ever for a reason. The program to become the Joint Strike Fighter program began in 1993 and started developing in 2001. The U.S. military wanted a new vertical takeoff and landing warplane. The Pentagon knew this would be expensive and examined other existing fighters and those that were in the development pipeline. Acquisition leadership wondered if one fighter could be manufactured that would deliver on multi-mission capabilities and even replace airframes such as Harrier jump jets, F-15 Eagles, and F-A-18 Hornets. The expenses kicked in. Designers and engineers thought once they created the F-35A conventional takeoff and landing bird, the other fighters would be easier. That's not what happened. It took an additional 18 months and $6.2 billion to create the F-35B with its jump jet capability. Meanwhile, the F-35A cost $221 million when it came off the production line in 2007, according to Reuters. Concurrently building created delays. The program decided to build the jets concurrently, meaning they would build and test, incorporate the evaluation data into the manufacturing, and make adjustments as necessary several years before they were complete. But personnel were finding things that were wrong as they had to go back and fix those problems. This activity created schedule slip and cost ballooning into the billions. The U.S. Government Accountability Office projected nearly $6 billion in additional costs for 2036 alone, and that does not include $3.7 trillion to operate and sustain them. The Pentagon was buying airplanes that were not combat effective. Orphan airplanes still needed work. The Air Force grew frustrated. It had ordered 108 F-35As for $21.4 billion and received them, but they had multiple issues that were required fixing. They were so-called concurrency orphan birds. The Marine Corps and Navy bought 81 early model F-35s. These would also need to be retrofitted at exorbitant costs. The problems add up. The three airplanes had only 25 to 30% parts commonality. Even though they were supposed to save money on components, the cost of each flight hour is $36,000 for the F-35A, and the Air Force hopes to whittle it down to $25,000 by 2025. All is well that ends well for the most expensive fighter ever. Although the costs have been excessive over the years, many issues have been ironed out. The difficult phase of the Joint Strike Fighter program is over. It's the most advanced fighter in the world. Numerous countries have bought the F-35, putting pressure on adversaries such as Russia and China to keep up with their own stealth programs. The F-35 is here to stay, but the history of the acquisition program would supply numerous lessons learned on what not to do with an airplane program. Most likely, the Pentagon will not try building a fighter in concurrency again. The history of the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. Development of the F-35 Lightning II began in the mid-1990s, when Boeing and Lockheed Martin competed to acquire the Department of Defense contract to produce the new fifth-generation platform. The Air Force, Navy, and Marine Corps needed to replace their fleets of F-16 Fighting Falcons, F/A-18 Hornets, A-10 Warthogs, and AV-8B Harriet platforms. The goal of the Joint Strike Fighter program was to create super formidable fighter that could outperform all near-peer platforms for decades. Lockheed Martin's X-35 design emerged simultaneously to Boeing X-32. Ultimately, the X-35 was awarded the contract because the jet's design was considered to be less risky. As the Cold War fizzled out, so did America's aging airframes. Lockheed Martin proposed developing a singular platform to satisfy the needs of all three branches. The defense giant designed a conventional takeoff and landing F-35A for the Air Force's longer runways, the F-35B for the Marine Corps, and F-35C for the Navy's carrier-launched operations. The F-35's superior makeup, designed to function as the world's top air superiority platform, the F-35 is perhaps the stealthiest jet operable today. According to Popular Mechanics, the fighter uses a single F-135 engine that produces 40,000 pounds of thrust with the afterburner engaged, capable of pushing the sleek but husky fighter to speed as high as Mach 1.6. The aircraft can carry 4 weapons internally while flying in contested airspace, or can be outfitted with 6 additional weapons mounted on the external hardpoints when flying in the low-risk environments. The F-35A also comes equipped with an internal 4-barrel 25mm rotary cannon hidden behind a small door to minimize the radar returns. One of the F-35's more cutting-edge attributes is the airframe's ability to convert from stealth mode to beast mode. In stealth mode, the F-35 carries a small amount of ordnance. The priority here is to help the fighter evade detection. In beast mode, the jet can carry nearly 4 times as much ordnance. Brent Eastwood also notes that the F-35 is now nuclear capable, packed with a full slate of conventional and precision-guided munitions from Sidewinders and AMRAAMs to JDAMs and small diameter bombs. What makes the F-35A deterrent? Lockheed Martin's F-35A is slowly replacing the U.S. Air Force's fleet of the F-16 Fighting Falcons and an A-10 Thunderbolt IIs. These aircraft had been the mainstay of the branch's fighter jet arsenal for decades. The U.S. Air Force saw its first F-35A test aircraft roll off the production line in 2006. This variant's CTOL capabilities allow the Air Force and U.S. allies to project air supremacy at all times. The Air Force asserts that the platform's advanced sensor package, which integrates and distributes more information than any other jet in history, gives its crew headway over enemy aircraft, while the F-35C shares the majority of the characteristics to the F-35B and F-35C variants. Some differences exist. The F-35A, for instance, does not have the carrier-based CTOL catapult-assisted takeoff but arrested recovery that its Navy F-35C variant possesses. The F-35A also does not have the short takeoff and vertical landing abilities the F-35 sports. These small differences in platform don't necessarily make one variant better than the other. They just make each variant better suited for the missions they undertake in service of the Air Force, Navy, and Marine Corps. Well, that's it guys for today. Hope you liked this video and subscribe to our channel and hit the bell for the most recent updates on the fighter planes.